Whoa! We're diving headfirst into the Frieza movie, the Resurrection of Frieza. Like, I know they were gonna do a retelling of the Resurrection of Frieza, but holy shit, I just watched that movie like, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and then seeing it already in anime form, like, holy crap, just, damn. So, now seeing this, it seems like they're going to be rearranging events, from what I can tell from the way this episode was done. So before I get into the retelling to the rearranging of the events, let's talk about the new stuff that we got with this episode. So the first half of the episode, we get to see what type of training Vegeta has been doing for the past 6 months, and what he's had to deal with. So he's been a maid. The best way to summarize the first half of the episode, or 60 to 70% of this episode, is Vegeta is a maid. He turns into a maid, and he has to do the house cleaning, to the chores, to changing the Beerus's sheets. It's pretty fucking hilarious. And I mean, Vegeta's character in this, Dragon Ball Super has been hilarious with, like the bingo from the movie to, how he became chef or cooking with Vegeta. I mean, there's been some funny moments with Vegeta in Dragon Ball Super, and with seeing Vegeta just doing chores and shit, oh my god, I just cannot think of the same character when I think of Vegeta at the beginning of the Saiyan Saga. I mean, I look at the Vegeta in this, now I'm like, oh my god, is this really the same character? But it just goes to show you how much Vegeta has matured or changed over the years. But back into the chores and stuff. So Vegeta, for the past 6 months, he's been having to do the chores. And he's been having to deal with Beerus this entire time. He's had to deal with Beerus and his antics of where he won't hold back in his sleep. For instance, he might hit Vegeta and knock him unconscious with one blow. He might shoot a ki blast at you, which could obliterate you depending on how it hits you. So Vegeta's been under a lot of hell because, I mean, if you had to deal with someone like Beerus that could bitch slap you and fucking kill you while he's asleep and he won't even realize it, you kind of have a problem there. And that's kind of what Vegeta has been facing for the past 6 months. But that really isn't the hard part. What really is the hard part is when we actually get to the training. And this was one of the most fascinating parts about this episode to me for watching Dragon Ball Super, because one of the things I've been looking forward to the most about Dragon Ball Super, and why I continue to watch it, not just because I'm a Dragon Ball Z fan, of course, but also I wanted to see how Goku and Vegeta, which I've emphasized a bit, I want to see how they get Super Saiyan Blue. Yes, the name is Super Saiyan Blue. A couple of you Chibits corrected me on that when I said Super Saiyan God. Super Saiyan, apparently the new name of that is Super Saiyan Blue. So, Super Saiyan Blue, I hope we get to see this, achieved. And that's something I've always been fascinated about since I've heard about it when I was playing Dragon Ball Xenoverse, to the movie announcement of the trailers to Resurrection of Frieza, so many things, and then seeing this training going on in this episode, I'm like, yes, this is the type of shit I want to see. Even the house cleaning is very fascinating because, I mean, it's a different type of experience because Beerus is not the normal person you have to do chores for because, I mean, like I said, one wrong slap to the face and you're fucking dead. I mean, seriously, Yamcha, just looking at Beerus, he'd probably die. He would keel over. So, I mean, thankfully, you have Vegeta and Goku here, because if it was anyone else, they would probably just die. But, back on topic, the thing is when it came to the training, and we saw how Goku and Vegeta had to lift these weights, I wonder what those are made of. I'm very curious on what those weights are made of, or how heavy they are, like in terms of weight. I just wonder how heavy that is. I'm very curious. I really, really hope we find out about that. Maybe in the dub. Maybe the English dub, if we ever get an English dub, we might find out how much that weighs. But I'm very curious about that because just to see how Vegeta and Goku could not lift it, and to see how Vegeta's was doubled. Like, Whis says, like, oh, I've doubled your weights, Vegeta, by, like, 2 times. I'm like, holy shit, you just see him picking them up. So you can say, in that moment, Vegeta surpassed Goku. That's actually what you could take from that moment, because Vegeta was holding heavier weights, but still managing to carry them, and it seemed he was keeping up with Goku that was carrying lesser weights. So it goes to show you, Vegeta was kind of like the better man at that moment. He was holding heavier shit, but also the challenge with this training, I really wonder if Whis would have allowed them to fall into that dimension. Because from what we found out, is the floor will slowly disappear as they're holding these weights and they have to walk. And as the floor is disappearing behind them, Whis says, like, oh, if you fall there, you'll never be able to come back out again. That's a different dimension. So, I wonder what exactly dimension that is. Like, what is that? Is that, like, hell? Is it a different dimension entirely? Because we do know about different dimensions of Dragon Ball, because it was mentioned in the movie, you know, Battle of Gods, and then also recently in Dragon Ball Super. We know about different dimensions. It's not anything new to the canon, because we already kind of knew about this for the past couple years now. So I wonder if that dimension, if they fell into it, would that be another dimension, or would that be something else entirely, like, you know, not connected to that? But whatever it may be, I wonder if Whis would have allowed them to fall into that. I'm just curious. But getting off of that now, the second half, later on now, we get into the new stuff, or I guess not new stuff, we get into the retelling of the Frieza saga, or the resurrection of Frieza. And so far, the events are very different from how the movie started, because like I said, I just recently watched that movie, and the movie was good, but it had these issues with it where there was a lot of things not explained at all. And I know probably the way it was written, it was probably saved for Dragon Ball Super. For instance, Dragon Ball Super would come in and probably clarify all these events, and that's kind of why there were so many things that was not really explained well when it came to Dragon Ball, you know, Resurrection of Frieza. So, not looking really at that, let's not look at the movie. The retelling, however, the events are definitely different. Because in the movie, you had it to where Goku and Vegeta were fighting Whis, and they were learning about how they think too much. Because they think too much, they are slow, and, you know, they can't really keep up with Whis. And Whis says this right before Frieza comes in this episode. But in the movie, Frieza was already resurrected, he was already coming, and then Whis says this. So, the order of events are quite different already. And so, as we already know from what we saw in the Battle of Gods retelling in Dragon Ball Super, Goku was already at a higher level than what we saw him demonstrate even in the Resurrection of Frieza movie. So, for we to already get this information about how they think too much, I can't imagine how powerful they're going to be in that arc when we see Frieza pop up. I just cannot imagine how fucking crazy the fight is going to be in a scale. So yeah, I mean, I'm kind of hyped. We also get to see a new introduction to a character, which I have slightly heard about. I have yet to actually read the Dragon Ball Super manga, which I should, because I have heard that they're starting a new arc that's not even been told in anime form. So I do want to eventually get on to the manga. But this is our first time as anime onlys for Dragon Ball Super. We got introduced to this new, I'm assuming, god. I don't know much about him. I know his name is Champa, but we got it like a god or something introduced that seems to be like someone that looks like evil Beerus. Comes in and then destroys like some form of planet looking for something, and then that's kind of where the episode ends off, and when we get a preview for, you know, Frieza's resurrection in next week's episode. So I'm curious to see what type of ties Champa's gonna have in this arc, but also what type of goal he's trying to do. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I mean, how do you all feel about this episode of Dragon Ball Super? Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Please be safe. Chibi out.